Hi, Shavua Tov, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Please join me in tonight's live because I want to talk about something very, very important. It's been a while. It's been about, I think, 2 weeks or more since I've done this. So it's like, a little bit of a step back and trying to get back to the old routine. Even though taking a break from social media and focusing on my dog, which I just got, trying to train him. Of course, as usual, focusing on the children, the family, the jobs, always very important. But, after a while, you start to miss connecting with people other than the ones in your immediate surroundings. So here I am today again, trying to reconnect with all of you. I did miss social media, so I want to talk about something which I got a call yesterday from a lady, and she told me a very interesting question. And I'm going to share that question with you right now. And after having that conversation, I decided that I think a lot of us struggle with this and they can relate to it. And that's why I thought it was an important topic to bring about. And I'm specifically talking in English as opposed to Russian. And I know a lot of people that like when I talk Russian, the older population are going to want to hear this message in Russian, but I think this particular message is very important for the young generation, including myself, even though a lot of us can relate, no matter what age we are at. So I got a call yesterday from a friend, and she's been married for over 20 years, and she says to me, I'm really, really upset, and I don't like to share my personal stories, she says, but at this point, I'm so fed up that I don't know who to talk to. So I said, what's the problem? She says, when my husband comes home, he doesn't really spend time with me. He doesn't talk to me. He's very tired. He doesn't compliment me. He doesn't even say, I love you to me. So I wonder, is he really into me? Or is he just living with me? Because at this point, I'm his wife and he's just living with me. I'm starting to feel a little bit that we're disconnected. And I really, really, as a wife, I need him to be there for me. I want him to remind me that he loves me. I want him to spend time with me. I want him to be able to give me presents and to compliment me. And if I don't have that, she says, I feel very sluggish. I feel very, very down. I lack energy. And I can't be a good wife and a good mother and a good human being if in my house, I don't feel loved from my husband. I don't know what to do. I said, do you communicate that with him? She says, yeah, I do. I tell him all the time. It's very important for me when he spends time with me. I mean, he comes home, he's always very tired and very sleepy, and I can't take that anymore. So I know her husband as well, and I said, listen, you have to understand, your husband has a very hard job. He works very, very long hours. I'm sure he loves you. Of course he loves you. I mean, what's there not to love about you? And she says, no, I know he has long hours, but I also have long hours. I'm with the kids all day. My husband comes home at 11 o'clock at night. I'm also tired, but that doesn't mean that I don't want to spend time with him. I can't take it anymore. So she told her husband, why didn't you get me a birthday gift? My birthday passed and you didn't get me anything. And her husband's response was, I'm sorry, I didn't do it on purpose, but you didn't get me a birthday gift either for my birthday. I didn't make a big deal out of it. I was okay. So why did it bother you that I didn't get you a birthday present? So I asked her, I said, is it true? You didn't get him a birthday gift? She says, no, to be honest with you, I don't really get him anything. I'm really bad with getting gifts. So I said, it's like a one-way street here. So you expect him to give you birthday gifts. You expect him to compliment you, to shower you with love. But do you say I love you to your husband? She says, nah, not really. I said, do you make him feel complimented and tell him how important he is in your life? She says, I've never really done that. He's always done that to me. I'm never that kind of person. I'm not a lovey-dovey. I don't really start. If my husband starts to give me affection, which I really love, that's great. But I'm not the one to start. I said, but think about what you're saying. And that's the part that actually dawned on me as well. Because as a lady, and it can be for men too, but I'm talking about the ladies because having a conversation with this other lady, I thought to myself, how much do we depend on our husband's love and affection and presence, and make sure that we know that they can't live without us and how great we are and spend time with us. But we ourselves are very, very guilty of not being that way. And again, some of us are, but I'm talking about the ones that are not. The ones who are expecting that I love you from their spouse, but themselves don't say I love you to their husband or their wife. The ones who are expecting the surprises and the birthday gifts and these out of nowhere compliments are themselves not giving those compliments and not saying nice words to their spouse. So how important is it for all of us to take a step back and to say, rather than me waiting for my wife or my husband to tell me that he or she loves me, rather than me waiting for him or her to give me a compliment or spend that extra moment doing something special for me, I need to focus on how can I make my husband or wife feel special? How can I surprise them? How can I out of nowhere send them a text message and just simply say, I'm thinking about you and I'm so happy to have you as being part of my life. And that's not easy. It's very difficult, especially for those who have been married for over 10 years. With every year, we get so accustomed to being married. We get so accustomed to taking care of the children. The house gets bigger because the family's bigger. The bills are piling up. The food shopping is more money. The electricity bills is higher. Because of all that, we're so busy running around trying to make life happen that we start to, by accident, take for granted the love and the unity and the connection that brought us together many, many years ago. And this is something that we have to work on, because if we start to live with each other simply as roommates, we went to work, we came home, and we went to sleep, we woke up, we went to work, and it continues being that way, we're going to become distant from one another. We're going to start lacking that need for one another. And you know what's going to happen? It's going to catch up with us. Because love and affection, especially for a lady, for men it's more physical. For a lady, it's more emotional. After a while, when a lady is not going to hear that I love you and you mean so much to me, she's automatically not going to want to be physical either, because that emotional need is lacking. And then the husband is going to feel like there's a lack of physical connection, so he's going to feel like something is lacking. And before you know it, that bond gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And then we wonder, why is it that when people are married for so many years and their children are married off, they have separations and divorce? Because all of a sudden, when the children are no longer there, whatever held you together as husband and wife, which was the children, is gone. Now you two are living, and it's an empty nest. It's an empty hole. So it's very important to take that foundation right now when your children are still young. And even those, because I know some of you who are watching have children who are married. You are in an older range. You have to remind each other that you are still there for each other. You still love each other. You're still appreciating the fact that you have one another. Because it's not enough, because I'm guilty of that myself. Many times I don't say I love you or I miss you or I'm so lucky to have you to my husband, because I think he knows that already. Why do I have to remind him? But he knows that already. But it's not necessarily true. No matter how much he may know that or she may know that, she needs to hear that. She needs to be reminded of that I am loved, I am valued, I am important to you, and I am so lucky to have you in my life. and I don't know what I would do without you. And not only that, it's very important, especially for us ladies, not to nag our husbands. Many of us are very, very guilty for nagging the husband, for complaining, for saying, you don't do enough, I do everything, you don't help me, I take care of the kids, I take care of the cooking, I take care of the cleaning, and I take care of and I also work like you work, and what do you do for me? I could live without you. It's true. Yes, as ladies, we have a lot on our plate. That is the truth. But we also have to remind ourselves that men are not built like ladies are. Ladies can handle much more pressure and multitasking, sorry for the men who are listening, yes, than they can. Therefore, even though it looks like we're doing so much more, the truth is it's because we are gifted with the ability to be able to juggle with so much more. Men are not like us. They need to be told exactly what to do many times. They are not mind readers. If you want the husband to help you with shopping, you need to tell him, I need you to help me with shopping, and I need this, 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 and this. And not expect that if he goes shopping, and then he's going to come home with whatever you needed, and you say, but where are the tomatoes? But how come you didn't buy me milk? And he says, I didn't know we needed that. But what do you mean you didn't know? You didn't see the fridge was empty? No, he didn't notice it, because men do not think like ladies. And many times what happens is, because they don't think like us, we start nagging and start putting them down. And the more you put the husband down, the worse his self-esteem is going to become with time. And then before you know it, he's really not going to be a capable man, because we have diminished his self-esteem completely. And then we're going to wonder why our husband changed. Why all of a sudden he's like a nobody? What happened to him? He used to be this tough cookie, and now he's like this quiet guy. Because over the years, with our own mouths, we have degraded the man tremendously. And it's important, as hard as it is very important for us ladies to always compliment our husbands. And if we can't compliment, for whatever reason, not to put them down. Yes, some of us are just really bad at complimenting. It's something we have to work on. But if you can't compliment, don't put them down. And that also goes for the men. Do not compare your wife with someone else's wife. Do not compare that someone else's wife may be working and your wife is not working. She's able to handle 8 children, and your wife can't even, according to you, handle 2 children, because you don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. Sometimes we see a couple walking and they're holding hands and they look so lovey-dovey and everything looks so nice, and you just had this really big argument with your husband, or maybe your husband and you don't hold hands, which I think is great too. Not everything needs to be out there in the public. And then you may think to yourself, wow, look at the love these two share. Look how much they love each other. They're walking down the street. The unity. Look at me. What kind of life do I have? Miserable. My husband never talks to me like this. Forget about holding hands. Remember, it's not always what you see on the outside. It doesn't mean if the husband and wife are holding hands and they're so in love and they're giving each other compliments and everything looks so beautiful on the outside, that's the reality on the inside. You don't know what happens behind closed doors. Sometimes what you see on the outside is really just a show. It's a cover-up. It's a way for people to portray a beautiful image. But inside, this couple is living miserably. And yes, there are couples that do hold hands on the outside and they have a beautiful life together. But my point is, it's not for us to judge who holds hands on the outside or who doesn't hold hands. That's not the point. It's for us to remember, just because Her husband opened the door for her, and just because her husband bought her a $5,000 ring for her anniversary, or he does everything for her on the outside, he is a loving husband on the inside. It may be the complete opposite. Your husband or wife may be giving you a lot of respect at home and cooking hot meals for you and making sure the bills are paid for and always treating you with respect and talking to you in the nicest way possible. And that may be what you're gifted with. Meanwhile, this other husband or wife who's doing everything on the outside, buying her expensive gifts and taking her on vacation and holding hands and doing everything, is disrespectful, is cheating, is not doing anything to provide for her, is betraying her and putting her down. That happens too. So therefore, it's very important for every single one of us to understand, especially for the young people who are just getting married, who are dating, who are looking for someone, to understand that marriage is the most beautiful thing in the world. Beautiful thing in the world. But it comes with territorial challenges. It is something you have to work on for a very long time. People who are married for 60 years don't know each other the way they thought they knew each other. They argue, they still trying to fix each other, because I talk to people in their 80s, 90s who are my patients that come together when they're in the room, and I still see them arguing with each other. And you're like, you're in your 90s, you're still arguing? Yes, they are. Because in marriage, it is a forever growing process. So if you get married thinking you're going to have this beautiful marriage and your husband's going to get you on vacation every year and buy you beautiful presents and say I love you to you the way he was doing it on your dates and always compliment you, if that's the reason you're getting married, to think that it's better in your husband's house because now you have freedom that you didn't have in your mother's house, guess what? That is not the truth. You probably had more freedom in your mother's house than you will have in your husband's house. Because now in your husband's house, there are expectations as a wife that need to be met. And same thing for the husband. There are expectations for him. There are expectations for her. Therefore, when you get married and you understand that it's a challenge, it's an ever-growing, challenging thing, that you have to be patient, that you don't take your dirty laundry and you don't spread it all over the world. You don't go and call your mother every 2 days and complain about your husband. You don't call your friends every 2 days. You don't call your sister or your brother and complain about your husband or your wife. You keep your family problems in your family. And you don't go to sleep thinking I'm going to punish my husband or my wife. I'm not going to talk to him for 5 weeks because I want him to learn his lesson, and teach your children that it's okay not to talk to each other for 5 weeks. Because holding a grudge and not talking for weeks because you want to punish him or her is not going to bring you a good marriage. It's not going to make your husband or wife a better person. In fact, when your husband, and I say husband because I'm a wife, if your husband says something very, very hurtful to you, almost to the point where you really want him to feel the pain and you want to punish him by answering back or by giving him a taste of his own medicine, the biggest thing you can do is to be the opposite of him. If he made you feel miserable and he put you down and he said very hurtful words to you, but you can still talk and still provide as a wife and still take care of the children and not hold a grudge, believe me, your husband the next day, after he comes to his senses, will think to himself, wow, I was such an idiot because my wife doesn't deserve that. And the same thing goes back. If your wife said horrible things to you, she put you down, she did everything, because people do that sometimes because they're stressed. They do it from stress. They take their anger on you because of other things, and sometimes they regret it. But when you come out as the better person and you continue to be your loving self and not stoop down to that level, your wife is going to say, wow, I was such an idiot for what I did. My husband didn't deserve that. So as hard as it is to not fall into your temptation of wanting to take revenge and to answer back and to do exactly what they did to you, work on yourself. Tell yourself, at the end of this world, at the end of it all, when my husband and I are left alone because our kids are married off, this is a bond that will be together forever. This is my biggest investment in my life. The relationship between my husband and I is the investment of a lifetime. It's like investing in a house that I will live in forever. This relationship needs to be worked on. And I want it to be the best relationship ever. So I need to change myself. I cannot change someone else. And I should never try to change someone else. I can only change how I respond to someone else. Will I respond to someone else angrily? Will I respond to someone else with disrespect? Will I respond to someone else with hatred? That's my problem. Because him, I can't change. Myself, I can change. So rather than living a life constantly trying to change my husband or my wife, let me change myself. Let me be a better person. And then slowly, through myself being a better person, my husband or my wife is going to change as well. And for those minority of cases in which there is abuse or something else, we're not talking about those cases because that's a minority. That's a very small percentage. Majority of us don't come from those type of relationships. So we really, truly, this year, especially in 2021, after everything we've been through, let us work on perfecting our marriages and creating a loving environment for our children. Because children that are in a family where there is constant fighting and battles and disagreements, those children emotionally get very, very damaged because they take responsibility for that. They think it's their fault that their parents are fighting and not getting along. So for our children's sake, we need to come together and be more loving for one another. That was a mouthful. Thank you for listening. Let's see who joined us here. So we have a lot of people who joined us. My husband says, Bukharians say, Zan after John Dore. That's true. Ladies are very, very strong. Very true. Thank you, Frida. Thank you, Elena, Sivia. Thank you all for joining us. Let's see here. As always, it's such a pleasure reading everybody's comments. Zina Talmasova, you're absolutely right. Agree with everything you said. Thank you very much, Zina. I appreciate that. Thank you, Rachel, Angela. So very, very, very nice. Hi, Lola. It's very, very nice to have all of you once again reconnect, join me for this live. It's been some time, you know, with Pesach and everything. I decided to take a step back from social media, but then I took a step back and I took a break, and I'll tell you, it was an awesome feeling. It was almost like, wow, it's really good not to be on social media. But then after some time, you get to miss it, and you say, as much as it's amazing to focus on, you know, family, kids, work, it's also good to try to connect with other people, and that's why I am back here with you all today. So thank you for watching. Lyuba Pelosova, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate that. Nagina, Marina, so many wonderful people joining us. Thank you all so much. And again, I always appreciate your questions, your comments, your feedback, because this is where I get my ideas of what to talk about. So if there's anything else that you want me to talk about, anything else you want to share, please feel free to reach out to me. Oh, my aunt is here. Здравствуйте, Tete Bardo. Thank you for joining me. Always a pleasure to connect with you ladies. Thank you so much. I'm going to soon invite a guest. I hope it's going to work out very, very soon. I'm hoping that's going to talk to us about dating, okay? Because we have a lot of people in our community, even though I'm talking about marriage right now and how beautiful it is to be married, I have not realized how many single people there are in our community. And I'm not only talking about single people who are like 18, 19, 20, 25, 26. We're talking about single people in their 40s who have never been married, or people who are divorced, who can't find their partner. There are a lot of people struggling to get married. Unfortunately, I'm not a matchmaker. I don't deal with this, but it breaks my heart to see that people have not yet found their partner in life. It must be so challenging. It must be a really big challenge not to have found your partner. And I really, really hope and pray that anybody who is single is able to find their partner and to have a beautiful life, to have everlasting love with one another. So if you see people who are single and you're able to make a match, go ahead and make a match. Because if you are successful in making a match between two people that have a beautiful life together, all those generations that are going to come out are going to be thanks to you. So if anybody knows of people that can connect with one another, go ahead and help these young single people out, because many, many people in our community are not married. And once again, before I close off, I just want to say one more thing. If you hear one side of a story, the husband's side or the wife's side, and they're complaining to you because they're asking you whether you're the parent or you're the sister or brother of that situation, please try not to get involved in personal marital problems. No matter what story you hear, there's also another side of the story. Sometimes as parents, we think we want to help our children, and we come and we try to say, you're hurting my son, you're not doing enough for him, or you're hurting my daughter, why are you torturing her? And we think we're going to be like the police officer who's going to come and make this happen now because our daughter or our son complained about his marriage. And sometimes that's going to be destructive. You may actually destroy the marriage even more. So the best thing is, when your kids are having marital issues, the best thing is not to get involved. Let them resolve their problems on their own, and let them go to experts like marriage counselors, rabbis, whoever is actually an expert in this field, to listen to both sides of the story and to come to a resolution. Because a parent is not a neutral person. A parent is not going to take other person's side. Most of the time, parents take their own children's side. And sometimes, no matter what story you hear, there is a second story. So please, it happens so much that children go to their parents and they complain, or their parents sees that their husband, the wife didn't cook for him, so all of a sudden they say, вечером мой сын, его жена ему не готовит, он такой голодный приходит домой. You don't know the full story. Maybe your son tells her not to cook. Maybe he says, focus on the kids and don't worry, I'll go to my mother's house, I'll eat there. How do you know the conversations that's taking place? And then you're sitting here making judgments, and then your son comes to you and you say, что, твоя жена тебе не сготовила, что ли, обед? Иди вечера, идем, я тебе что-то сготовлю. And then your words of sympathy put some, thought into the son, like, right, why didn't she cook for me? Oh my God, what was my wife thinking? And sometimes it causes destruction. So let's stay very, very neutral, loving to our children. I don't have children who are married yet, but it's just the stories that I hear. So I don't know. Hopefully I'm not going to be the one to blame myself when I have children that are married. But just from what I hear, that I want to share, that please, if you do have married children and they have problems, don't try to take anybody's side. Be neutral, be loving, never give too much of your opinion. Let them deal with their problems on their own, because eventually they're going to make up and then you're going to be the bad one. So even for yourself, stay out of their problems. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciated this live very much. It was very, very therapeutic. I enjoyed it, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.